Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your attention. I am Dian from Sultan Fatah University. It's a great honor to share my presentation from my preliminary research. I would like to present the PPT first. Let me share my presentation. I hope will appear on your screen. The title is Decolonial Urban Futures, Solidarity, Self-Determination, and Communal Living in Post-Colonial City Planning. This work revisits the Bandung Conference in 1955, a historic moment of solidarity among newly independent nations, and asks how its values, solidarity, self-determination, and cooperation can guide us in rethinking our urban futures today. Our cities still bear traces of colonial and neoliberal systems that often privilege exclusion over inclusion. My research explores how we can transform urban planning into more just, participatory, and culturally grounded practice. Urban planning informally colonized context continues to struggle with legacies of inequality, exclusion, and cultural erasure. This study explores how the principle of solidarity, self-determination, and cooperation can help reset this system. Through a qualitative literature study, I examined how practices such as hybrid dwellings, collective memory, and communal living can serve as foundation for the colonial approach to planning. The findings suggest that when communities plan together, reclaim their cultural traditions, and share resources, they can build cities that are not only physically sustainable, but also socially cohesive and deeply human. The Bandung spirit was born out of a shared struggle for independence and dignity. 70 years later, those ideals still resonate, especially in how we think about space, belonging, and governance. Urban planning is not merely a technical task, it is a cultural and political act that shapes how we live together. Yet, in many post-colonial societies, planning remains influenced by Eurocentric models that emphasize control, profit, and individual ownership. This research argues that the Bandung Principle, solidarity, self-determination, and cooperation, can be reimagined for the present day as tools for spatial justice and inclusive urban transformation. Reclaiming the spirit of Bandung means creating cities rooted in collective memory, cultural integrity, and participatory governance. To explore these ideas, I conducted a qualitative literature study that draws from urban studies, sociology, and post-colonial theory. The process involved systematically reviewing academic work published between 2010 and 2024, sourced from databases such as Scopus, Web of Science, and Google Scholar. 5 central themes emerged from this analysis: solidarity in participatory planning, self-determination through cultural reclamation, cooperation via transnational exchange, and the spatial manifestation of hybrid dwellings and communal living. This method allowed for a cross-disciplinary synthesis, bringing together both theoretical insights and practical case studies to build a framework for decolonial urbanism. The finding revealed that solidarity plays a crucial role in strengthening community engagement and resilience. When residents participate directly in shaping their environment, they build not just spaces but social bonds and mutual responsibility. Self-determination, meanwhile, empowers communities to reclaim indigenous and local knowledge systems that were often marginalized during colonial rule. It ensures that planning reflects the cultural and ecological logic of place. The third principle, cooperation, extends this transformation across borders, promoting knowledge sharing among cities facing similar post-colonial realities. Complementing these principles are hybrid dwellings and communal living, two spatial strategies that weave community memory and social cohesion into the built environment. Together, this concept offers a new vocabulary for imagining cities as sites of collaboration and belonging rather than division and control. This conceptual framework decolonial urban planning. Despite their promise, this approach faces serious obstacles. Power asymmetries between institutions often limit genuine participation, while neoliberal agendas continue to prioritize economic growth over social justice. Even when participatory models are introduced, they can become tokenistic, serving as decoration rather than true democratization. Communal living models may also struggle with internal governance conflict or the risk of exclusion if not managed equitably. These challenges remind us that the colonial urbanism is not a romantic ideal. It requires deep institutional reform, sustained community dialogue, and policies that redistribute both power and resources. Only then can solidarity and cooperation move beyond rhetoric into real transformation. The framework I propose bring together 5 interrelated elements: solidarity, self-determination, cooperation, hybrid dwellings, and communal living. Each contribute to a comprehensive model of decolonial planning. Solidarity nurtures participatory governance and shared decision-making. Self-determination ensures that local cultures and indigenous knowledge systems shape the planning process. Cooperation extends the scope of learning and collaboration beyond national borders, connecting global south cities in shared problem solving. Hybrid dwellings integrate private and communal spaces, cultivating collective identity through design. And communal living redefines ownership and prosperity, placing well-being and reciprocity at the center of urban life. Together, they form an interdependent system that embodies the values of inclusivity, resilience, and justice. This stable principle of colonial urban planning and their implication, I also write on the full paper. In conclusion, the future of decolonial urbanism lies in reclaiming the moral imagination of planning. We must see the city not merely as infrastructure, but as a living organism of shared memory and mutual care. By centering solidarity, we invite participation and empathy. By affirming self-determination, we restore cultural continuity, and by embracing cooperation, we build bridge across nations facing similar challenges. Yet this transformation will only succeed if supported by inclusive governance, legal recognition of common rights, and institutional openness to change. To put the word new as the Bandung generation envision means rethinking how we inhabit our cities, not as customer or competitor, but as co-stewards of a shared and sacred space. Thank you. I would like to hear your feedback, reflection, and also question.